I would like to introduce myself. I'm the CISO of the .se, Swedish top-level domain. I'm mostly known probably from being one of the trusted community representatives assisting as a crypto officer when signing the roots with DNSSEC. And I'm also probably famous for being in the Internet Hall of Fame. Did you know that there is such a thing? Nah, okay. .se is an independent organization that is working for the benefit of the public, and we promote positive development of Internet in Sweden. And the way we're doing that is that we get some money from administering the domain names, and we put them into Internet development projects. So in 2030, we put approximately $8 million into projects where you could tell for some reason are positive for the internet in Sweden. And I forgot to tell you, since 2030 we are also responsible for the .nu domain. And that is because .nu means now in Swedish and in Danish and in Dutch. So we have a lot of customers from there. I will show you some figures and numbers. It's not that we are a .com size, you can tell. I mean, 1.3 million domains are not that much. But still, the figures and numbers that you have here, the interesting part of them is that the top 10 registrars, which we are working with, you see you have a number of registrars for each of the top-level domains. So the top 10 are covering almost 80% of all the domain names in the zone files, which makes it a bit easy when we do the thing that we are trying to do, like getting rid of malicious code, using a very soft policy. Because from time to time, there are some strong voices who demand for blocking domain names through DNS as a form of filtering. They suppress domain name resolution by dropping the response or by substituting the response with an error message, or even worse, substituting the result by redirecting the person who is looking for a website, for instance. Have you any idea what that does to DNSSEC, redirecting? It's bad, tell you. But by tradition, TLD managers prefer not to act on content-related issues by blocking domain names. At least that used to be the case. Now it's changing a bit because a lot of CCs do have a notice and takedown policy, which is kind of aggressive sometimes. And we would still try to avoid that because that is not our primary task. The primary task for a TLD registry is to match the domain name with the correct IP address of the requested service, no matter what. We are like the taxi driver or the mailman or the phone book, whatever you like. We do not care about content. And we are fighting very hard on that right now because we have a court case where the Swedish court will try to force us to take down and confiscate the domain, the Pirate Bay.se. You know about the Pirate Bay. So it's not that we are trying that we like what they are actually doing that much, but we really need a court case to prove that we don't do content. So that is why we are fighting this. Yep. One of the focus areas that we are running is called the .se health check. Every year we do a scan and we look at DNS, DNSSEC, SSL certificates sometimes, not every year, how people put up their mail servers and how they put up the web servers, and how they're using the certificates and the quality of the certificates. That is some of the things that we are looking close into. So even though we don't like to be involved too much in content, we cannot just look in the other direction because we need to take some action to decrease the prevalence of malicious code before someone gets this really, really bad idea of defining the registry's role as that of an intermediary and put up some legislation that will be unproportionate and discriminative. So, I mean, you know what's going on the internet every day. The focus area. Also, we have an internet funding part, which is where anyone who is interested can apply for a small amount of money to run a project. And that is the reason that we ended up with Safer Site with .se, because we financed that through the internet funding. So this is also a way to make sure that we have a high quality, well-functioning, top-level domain. So through the Internet Fund, we financed a project aiming to decrease the malicious code on websites. And that was called Eklund. I don't know really how to pronounce that, but Eklund feels good. The project ended up as a company now, and the name is from the golden dog, which according to the Greek mythology, watches the newborn god Zeus. And we started with just a 12-month trial project with this guy. He's a single person working for a registrar from the beginning, and he costed us like, I think he got about $8,000 to do that during 1 year. So it's a very low budget, easy funded project. And during the first 12 months of the project, he more or less 4,000 reports circulated for 1,500 unique domain names. And what we were doing, or the guy was doing, the hosting provider could either take, we sent automatically a mail to the hosting provider, and they could either fix it, the problem themselves, or they can send an email to the registrar, the holder of the domain, and ask them to fix it when they find some malicious code. So I will try to give you some examples on what Eklund does. This is how matguiderna.se tag vitlök looks for a regular visitor. And these pictures shows the source code. And the line 17 is the one that is the interesting part. It's called to a JavaScript that has been added on an unpronounceable domain name .org. And this picture shows the report that Eklund generates. The JavaScript file is blacklisted by Google Safe Browsing, which is a part of the toolbox that Eklund uses. And the next slide shows the report for another domain, citysign.se slide moto. And you can see the HTTP traffic without referrer. It's very tiny. I'm sorry for that. Shows you what happens. If you go to the address field and put in that domain, you get response code 200 OK, and the page will appear. If you should go through a Google search, then you will get the response code 302 found. And the browser is redirected to http www.oakleyok.com. And oakleyok.com turns out to be selling pirated brand glasses. And that is a very, very common way these days that infected pages are sending you or forward you to a pirate site, selling you anything that you could dream of. The final example is how the site avalanche-snow.se appears to a regular visitor. And again, here you can see the source code with 3 sections of encrypted JavaScript. This is malicious code entered by a hacker and detected by antivirus. And again, this shows the report that Eklund generates and sends to the host provider or the customer, or both. I mean, we are just looking into the information that is connected to the website. We pick the email address and we check who is the registrar, and they will get an email and be asked to take care of. The antivirus that is used by Eklund, it is his own antivirus. It's based on ClamAV, but he uses both ClamAV signatures and its own. So in this case, it was the ClamAV who found the malicious file. So, after the project was finished, we stopped monitoring the .se zone for a while. And we noticed two things. When we stopped the project, firstly, during the project, the number of infected sites were decreasing very much. And secondly, when the project was, during the project, it was decreasing, and when we stopped the monitoring, we noticed a rapid increase in infected sites, a very rapid one. You can tell, if you go to the anti-phishing working groups statistics, you can tell that we had a bad year, like 2012, I think that was. So in 2013, we decided to continue with this monitoring service, and we scan all the active .se domains and .nu domains this time, once a day. And upon detection of malicious code, an email is automatically sent to the associated email address with the information that we find. And a list of the current infected sites is sent to the registrar in charge of the domain. So this graph shows the number of sent and active reports per day last year. The increase you see in December 2014 is due to one single server that was infected, and that was from a registrar that also is a web hosting provider. So since the report is generated per infected domain, that site had about 200 reports related to it. So the sent reports are the number of reports that are new and sent to the web hosting provider that day. The active reports are all reports about pages still infected. So they are also shown on a website with a red exclamation mark, and that is openly available, so anyone can go here and take a look and see if they can find their own domains there, if it's infected with malicious code, and take some action. So, this is the number of sent and active reports to a web hosting company in the past year. And as expected, you can find the major web hosting providers, they stand out. Of course, there's nothing strange about that. So summing up, with very, very limited efforts, we reached very good results. This is a small project. Very small amount of money. We just give him the zone file and good luck and say go ahead, and it works very well. So when we started all over again, now we are buying a license from him so he can continue to develop the tool and work with other parties as well. So during the first period of the monitoring, it was run with very good results, and more than 96% of the reports attacks were actually addressed by the registrars or the hosting provider. So I should say that is a really surprising number to me. I wasn't really expecting that much. So next time, or this time when we continue the service, we're more innovative in the second round. And that means that we are looking deeper. We are not only looking on the landing page of the website, which we started out with, but we will go further down, looking into subpages and subdomains. And we also have some new methods to find infected websites that are being used in this second round. So the project or this tool is constantly developing and getting better and better. We find more and more. And our experience shows that most hosting companies are taking the reports, as I said, very seriously, even though there are a few that doesn't really prioritize abuse for some reason. Maybe they don't afford it or they don't care. We don't know really. We should try to start asking them why they're not doing anything about it. And by this monitoring, we have managed to maintain a top ranking in anti-phishing working groups studies as the lowest infected country in the world. So you were right about that. We were wiping off malicious code from the country. And the fourth quarter of 2013, we hit the lowest recorded rate ever, 16.80%. So, I mean, that is not much. Coming from a region where people are technical savvy, they are early adopters, they like their internet. One of our, I don't know whether you noticed my t-shirt yesterday, we had that we love internet, I love internet. So that is what we are actually feeling. We want this rather than building more filtering and blocking mechanisms in the internet's most important infrastructure. We should work together to take down illegal content, stop illegal actions, and bring those people who are abusing it to court. But by using DNS, which is the cornerstone of the internet, to block things out, that is the wrong way to treat this disease. You should go for the symptoms. You shouldn't go by DNS. It looks easy. It looks like it's effective, but it's not. I mean, they will just return somewhere else, and nothing you can do about it. I realize that I am very quick, very short. I don't think you mind that much. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
No? Oh. Okay, no questions? All right, thank you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you.